Well, the new administration is going to have to prioritize because so many millions of people have been allowed in, and the infrastructure for deporting and detaining them also was systematically contracted and eliminated. They set up the incoming administration at an extreme disadvantage to be able to do what they want to do. They wanted to abolish ICE, but they couldn't do it legally. So what they did instead was they kept paying them, they kept them on salary, but they were just playing games on their computers all day, not allowed to operate ever anywhere. There were 6,000 of them. They are chained to their desks as we speak. The first thing that the new administration, by policy, by regulation, by um, uh, you know, well established 4 years now that you can't go and do deportations or detain people. So that has to be unwound, and there'll probably be litigation just in unwinding that. And then they need to be expanded. There were 6,000 of them, so they may have to repurpose some military. That's why they're talking about declaring an emergency, a nationwide emergency, which will allow the Trump administration to use military assets, including bases, personnel for busy work, and they may have to repurpose some border patrol agents into ICE type duties. They're going to prioritize criminal aliens, obviously, and there's at least 1.4 million illegal immigrants who have final orders of removal fully ready to go in the chamber. They're going to have to go find them. They're going to need intelligence assets to figure out where they are. They'll be on the run. A lot of them will be on the run, and they're going to have to go get them and bring them to a detention space for the days or weeks that it takes to finally put them on aircraft. Then they're going to need more aircraft and fly them home. They're going to do remain in Mexico right off the bat. I have a new piece up in the Federalist today about how remain in Mexico works as a policy. There's a lot to be done. It's going to take resources. It's going to take time. There's going to be litigation, and there's going to be political information war, complete information war about this to undermine all of these efforts. The Nazis are back, the concentration camps are back, that kind of stuff.
Would you discount the possibility that you may see physical violence associated with this as well, whether from the perspective of deportees or, I don't know, Antifa, BLM, or other radical elements that seize upon this as a means of screwing up the Trump administration and its efforts?
I see a much higher likelihood of physical violence associated with these. I think that you're going to see. We remember in 2019 and 2020 we saw a movement called Occupy ICE, in which activists would go onto ICE detention facilities and try to block the and gum up the mechanism of deportation. I think we'll see a lot more. Than we had a terror attack actually out in Tacoma, Washington, where one of them brought a gun and tried to burn the place down and tried to shoot ICE agents, and he was killed during that attack. I do believe that we'll see civil disobedience and that kind of thing, or at least a high likelihood that sort of thing will return. We're also going to see a resurgence probably of the 1980s era sanctuary movement, where churches and those kind of will be hiding people, hiding them in their homes and that sort of thing, and trying to draw parallels to 1941 Amsterdam and the Nazis and the Jews kind of thing. You're going to see all sorts of action like that. So,
What against that backdrop, Todd? What are your thoughts as a guy with a national security background and mindset of this idea of bringing the U.S. military to bear to help with the logistics at a minimum of this enterprise?
it strikes me as obvious and necessary and fully legal too. I'm not a lawyer, but from everything I've read, of course you can do this. The president has the power to declare a national emergency. You can't use troops for law enforcement activity on the interior, but you can use personnel to free up border patrol agents and ICE agents from mundane, tedious duty. so that they can go out there and catch bad guys and round them up. That's where that and also the important thing is, remember, the Biden administration has systematically closed detention space, especially they closed all family detention facilities in the country. And a lot of these that they're going to have to round up are going to be families that are here illegally. They crossed illegally and they're here illegally. I'm sorry, but you're going to be deported as a family unit, and they're going to need space for that. So military bases offer that, and so do military personnel can provide that as
Yeah.
well.
Well, and we've certainly seen the Biden administration using military bases to bring people into the country, notably Taliban by the tens of
Yeah,
thousands
of
after
course.
Afghanistan fell. When Donald Trump says we're going to secure the border on the first day, what would be entailed in actually securing the border at the moment, and how fast can it actually be done?
Yeah, I believe that the border is already securing itself right now just from the rhetoric of Trump and Tom Homan. It's no mistake that Homan is on media every day. You know, Fox, he's anybody who will put him on, he's on there because he's saying, we're going to deport you. If you try to come in here between now and January 20, you're going to get deported. It's useless. Don't bother. And that has a very powerful effect downrange by itself, but you have to follow it with action. If you don't follow it with actual removals and pushbacks and deportations, they will figure that out very fast and start pouring in that, hey, you're just a bunch of smoke. So they're going to do remain in Mexico right away. That's pushbacks right back into Mexico for asylum. They're going to possibly do 212F. Google that of the INA, which allows the president to push back anybody he wants on a whim for no reason at all and deny them asylum. He can do that. And between the deportations and those two things, people are going to stop coming on their own.
Yeah.